The defense is trying to portray a sympathetic image of the mother. Yes, I agree that she lived in poverty, she had a very dramatic life, and her life was a misery. She was low income. But the question is, does that justify her action? Does that justify her recklessness? There are so many faulty points that the defense attorney made today. First, he said she had no idea. She had no idea that he was drunk. Well, even if I agree with him that she had no idea that he was drunk, even if I agree with him that she was not aware of that, even if I agree with him that at the party when he was holding this bourbon bottle and she told him, oh, stop playing, put that away, she still had no idea because she was drunk maybe, or she had other situation that made her impaired. Even if I assume and agree that she had no idea, I still cannot agree with him that she's not liable because she disregarded his illness. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not discussing today whether she was aware that he was drunk or not. Him being drunk or not is not the issue here. The issue is what happened after he got drunk. And you heard from the testimony of the pediatrician that he could have been saved had he been rushed to the emergency room 5 or 6 hours before that. So the delay is what caused his death, not the fact that the mother was aware or not aware of the issue. Now, the pediatrician said that when he went to the hospital, he had prolonged seizures, and those seizures were triggered by two things: intoxication and being drunk, drinking alcohol consumption. So basically, that was the reason. But he said that that's not the only reason that caused his death, but the delay is what caused his death. And if we put the delay in legal terms, it's going to be the disregard that I just spoken about earlier. Now, another faulty argument that I think doesn't make any sense is when the defense attorney was talking about the photo of Tinky in a suit. Well, that's a great photo, actually. If I see that photo, I'll feel sympathy and I'll say, oh, what a great mother that lives in poverty and still makes some savings to buy her kid a suit. But the question is, was he wearing that suit when he was in bed? Was he wearing that suit when he was vomiting? Is that his status when she neglected him? Well, she pampered him for one day and bought him a suit, but she caused his death eventually. Would that justify her actions just because she bought him a suit when she was in need of this money? Now, another thing that he mentioned in his argument is he was talking about that letter. And that was a letter from the Department of Human Services. And he said that because she was scared that they will take the kid away from her, she chose not to call the ambulance. And she said that this letter scared her. Well, from Ms. Griffin's own testimony, there was presence of ambulance cars and police cars from around 15 to 16 times in front of her house in the past. In fact, Ms. Griffin called the ambulance because she had a severe cough one day. Well, imagine this tragedy. She's calling the ambulance because she has a severe cough, but she doesn't want to call the ambulance because she is afraid that they will take her child from her. Well, if I assume again that I'm going to agree with him for the second time and say that yes, they did the wrong thing, they scared her, and they will in fact take her child from her, again, the question is for you, for reasonable minds here. Do you think that still justifies her standpoint by not calling the ambulance? Well, the fact that they're going to take her child from her, do you think it's more important than the life of her own child? That's a question for you to answer. Now, you also heard from other witnesses, like Miss Melissa Gray, that she asked her many times to call the ambulance, and she rejected. So that's a clear evidence that she was aware. Now, how many evidence do we need to make sure that she was aware that her child was sick? Do we need that testimony of Miss Melissa Gray? Is that enough? If that's not enough, then how about his own situation when he was lying in bed, sweating and vomiting and suffering from those prolonged seizures? And what was her action? She did not only disregard the situation, she was actually having an intimate time in the bedroom with a man. She spent her night flirting with men when her son was getting drunk. And how old is he? He's 5 years old. Not only that, but she gave him sips of beer by herself. That alone can hold her liable. Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to take the burden of proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think, and I believe, and I'm solid, that we proved this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I hereby ask each and every member of you to find Ms. Griffin guilty. Thank you.
Your best, for sure. Yeah, your best. It's good to end on a high note. Right? The only thing I would say is don't say, I believe.